So imagine this version of you witnessing the same scenario that triggered the other version of you. Version A, let's call the trigger-happy version of you version A. And the triggerless version of you, version B. How does version B experience the same scenario? And don't bring with you the biases from version A. Really imagine being outside of your bubble of everything that you know and hold dear, all your beliefs. Yes, that includes your ideas of compassion. That includes your ideas of activism. That includes your ideas of what's right and wrong. For a second, bypass all of that. Leave behind all of that, knowing that you can never lose your humanity. You can never lose your heart. You can never lose your sensory perceptions and your intuition. So don't fear stepping outside of the biased self. You'll be quite all right. You'll be quite loving. And imagine what this version, this triggerless version, absolutely unable to get triggered, what does this version experience in the same scenario, looking at the same event? Feel that for a bit. I'll let you have 20 seconds with that. Can you feel the difference? Who is scared by the prospect of seeing live without trigger? Raise your hand if you feel a little hesitancy. Okay, that's good. So you like it. So you know that this is the way to go. So you know that your biased self is not actually what you prefer. You prefer the triggerless one, the powerful one, the free one, the one that cannot be disturbed by ideas of right and wrong, by ideas of this should not be part of creation, or anything along those lines. You want that. You know it's possible, and you know that there's greater wisdom and love to be found in that version of you than in the version A that gets triggered. Correct? So you know that's good. That's wisdom. That's maturity, to know that the one you keep choosing is actually not the wisest option. Now, simultaneous with that wisdom and maturity then comes the stupidity of why don't you change? I don't hear any responses. Who believes that they can't change? Raise your hand. Who believes that they cannot change their perspective? One person. That's great. Welcome. Good luck this week. Who believes they can change, but, hold on, who believes that they can change, however, they don't know how to? Raise your hand. They feel a difficulty, a physical blockage when it comes to changing into the version that they know is the better version of themselves. Who feels they can, it's possible, but they don't feel clear on how to? Raise your hand. Okay, I'd say that's about half the room, 1/3 to about half the room. Okay. Who believes they can change, but they don't simply because they're not ready to. But when they are ready, they will change. They already know how to change, but they appreciate their own stubbornness, their own insistence, and they're okay with that. Who is okay with not changing even though they know they're messing themselves up? Raise your hand. Okay, so that's about 1/8 of the room, I'd say. Who knows they can change, and this is the first moment they're like, oh yeah, I can kind of change. Anyone? Nobody? Okay, interesting. Oh, okay, a few people. Maybe that's not a category. Maybe I just made that up. What then? Are you not inspired for that change? Are you not inspired to change? Why have you not already transcended the biases that you have? It's a good question. Why have you not already transcended the biases, or transformed, if you will? Yes?
I think it's habit and what other
She says she thinks it's habit.
and what other people think.
What other people think. Okay, thank you. Habit and what other people think. Apply the same thing to what other people think. Imagine the version of you that cares about what other people think, and you will inevitably get caught up in the storm. Inevitably, a part of your body will be ripped off, right? If you want to stay fully centered with every part of your body, and by body, I mean being. In this case, it's an analogy. If with your full body, your full being, you wish to be centered, you wish to channel power, you wish to channel inspiration and love and light wherever you go, however you go about things, then you have to not care about what other people think. So imagine the version of you that gets triggered by what other people think. Feel that for 20 seconds. And you can do the same at home. Imagine the version of you that you know very well that is afraid of what other people think. That when they are exposed, that when they put themselves out there, that when they change or believe something else, they are afraid of how their families, partners, or communities will respond. Or even total strangers, perhaps. Imagine that version, feel that version that you know very well. Now imagine again a parallel version of you that lives in a parallel perspective that just appeared right next to you. Looks exactly as you do, has exactly the same life, except completely different perspective. Triggerless, centered, eye of the hurricane, powerful, free. Shift your consciousness from this body to that body. Do it now. Feel the difference. Instantly feel the difference. Feel the triggerlessness. Feel the centeredness. Feel the power. Feel the strength. Feel the freedom. Feel the fearlessness. How does this version of you care about what other people think? It doesn't at all. Imagine what that would be like to not care at all. Not just a little bit not caring. Not just like, well, I'm a little afraid, but I'm going to do it anyway, which is great. That's a great step. But imagine actually being absolutely rid of, free of, the idea, the possibility to consider what other people might think of you. How would that feel in your body? How would that feel in your consciousness, in your state of being? Imagine being absolutely oblivious, not at the expense of integrity, but absolutely oblivious to what other people think of you. Absolutely ignorant. Ignorance is bliss in this case. Can you feel that? Can you feel the difference? Can you imagine it? Imagine it for another 10 seconds. What would it be like to be absolutely, absolutely trigger-free? Cannot be disturbed by what anyone thinks, doesn't even notice what other people think, that you don't even have the thought, let me stop my flow to consider what other people think of my flow. Let me doubt my higher self and trust sheep, products of society, slaves to the system. Let me trust them over this higher self which perceives of many, 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 many parallel creations, existences all at once, knows exactly what's best for me at any given moment. Let me stop my joy. Let me stop me bringing love and light into this planet at the crucial time. Let me stop and wait until someone else that has no clue about who they are, let alone who I am, to tell me, please go ahead and continue your journey. And if they don't, I won't. Sometimes it helps to deconstruct that which we consider normal and look at it from a hilarious point of view so that we can actually see that it's not benefiting us, because what keeps us habitually tied to those ideas is not habit, it is the belief that it serves us. Imagine that version of you which does not care what other people think. When you're in the stream, when you're in your alignment, when you're in your passion, you know that's the only way to be. It's the only way to navigate. It's the only way to create. So you're free. In that state, you're free. But you're so consumed with it. I could almost say busy with it, but consumed is a better word. You're so consumed with that energy flow, with that benefit, with that joy, with that expression, that sense that comes from higher self into the body and then expresses itself to the illusion of the world. To be in alignment with that stream, to flow down that river, to paddle along the stream instead of against the current. In that state, there is no way you're going to stop and think what other people think of you. Imagine this version B of you that already lives that way, has already lived that way for 10 years. 10 years ago, it had an epic awakening, and ever since, it has totally forgotten its past self, total amnesia towards the trigger self. It's completely oblivious to any of these practices that don't make sense, any of these considerations of other people's thoughts about your stream. They don't exist. They never, ever, ever, ever arise. It's not just that you muster the courage to go and do your thing. Again, that's a great step. It's that that version of yourself actually does not care whatsoever, does not care. Imagine it, shift to it, and develop instant sudden amnesia to version A. Just forget what it was like to be you. Can you do that?
Yep.
Okay. Great. Feel better already? More powerful? The sense of power sometimes is looked down upon by spiritual teachings, but I just want you to understand that the sense of power is the sense of being connected. Not power over others, but power, just power. That strength, that inner sense of power and strength and confidence, that is genuine, that is authentic, that cannot be faked. If it's faked, life will let you know, and you're all clear and aligned and with an integrity enough to be able to recognize when you did something that doesn't jive with the natural morale of your higher self. You know, so you don't have to fear that part of yourself. You don't have to fear becoming too powerful for your own good, because you won't, you can't. You will only gain as much sense of power and sense of strength as you are capable of handling at that time.